You know, Aisha radiallahu anha, when she would have a dinar or a dirham, when she would give it, in the way of Allah, she would put atar on it. You know atar, the fragrance? She would put that on the dinar. And then she would give it in the way of Allah. So one time, one of her students, asked her that, al-Mu'mineen, mother of the believers, why do you scent the dinar? Why do you put fragrance on it? You know what she said? Do you understand in whose hands this is going to fall into? She's talking about the hands of Allah. She's donating it for the sake of Allah. And she's saying this is going to fall in the hands of Allah. That's why she's doing that. That's giving for the sake of Allah. Holding back for the sake of Allah. Like on Halloween, those of us who give candy to those kids, is that really for the sake of Allah? Or is it for the sake of just because so the neighbors don't get upset at us? Are you really giving it for the sake of Allah? When you give out that candy on Halloween?
Maybe second one.
Huh?
Maybe second one. What?
Second one?
Yeah.
What do you mean, second one?
First one is for the sake of Allah. Second one is just for to
Right.
console neighbors.
Right, to console the neighbors. So obviously, Halloween is not something that is a Muslim practice, and it's a practice from the devils. Like the whole thing of, I don't want to get into the detail, but trick or treat means that the devils come out on that evening. That's what they believe. The devils come out on that evening, and the devils say trick or treat. That look, either you give us the candy or we're going to play a trick on you. That's the whole meaning of it. So as Muslims, obviously, we don't believe in the spirits of the dead coming alive and so on and so forth. So anyway, the point is, when you give for the sake of Allah, and then when you hold back for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, holding back for the sake of Allah, the وَمَنَعَ لِلَّهِ, that if in your mind, for example, that if there is something good that you have, it could be anything. There's something good that you have, and you know that person is going to abuse it. Then you hold back. You don't give that person so that they can just abuse that particular thing. You hold back for the sake of Allah, because Allah is telling us in the Quran that Allah does not like the people who are wasteful. Okay? So when you do those things, then your iman will be complete. In another hadith, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us that, أوثق عرى الإيمان, that one time he asked the Sahaba that which are the strongest ties of iman? Which are the strongest ties of iman? So the Sahaba, they said that Allah and His Messenger know best. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam responded and said that the strongest bonds of iman happen through loyalty for the sake of Allah, and disloyalty for the sake of Allah, and loving for the sake of Allah, and disliking something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Loyalty for the sake of Allah, that you're always loyal to the believers. You're always loyal to those people who are sincere. And disloyal for the sake of Allah, meaning that you're disloyal to anything that is un-Islamic. That you're disloyal to anything that will take you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Like Halloween, for example, that you make it clear that I'm sorry, I don't do that. I don't do that. Easter, Christmas, I'm sorry, I don't do those things. It's very clear. I don't do those things at all. And other holidays and so on, and other practices that I don't do that, because it's not. I'm not going to be disloyal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to be loyal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. Inshallah, I think it's about 12 o'clock. We'll take a break here. And we'll take a break for inshallah 6-7 minutes, and then we'll come back inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, just a reminder, inshallah, that there's no eating or drinking in the musalla. Shh. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, there's no eating or drinking in the musalla. If we can just do that outside. We're trying to really maintain the musalla very clean, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, this is the next slide. Yeah, the next slide. That's what was that? So they come to this state, when they're turning to Allah, they're like really from the depths of their heart, yeah, it's that type of feeling that you have to have constantly. Yeah, because the tests, they come not only from the heart things, but like this, area C and the desire, area C and the ship is being overtaken by the mistake. So now they feel there's a sense of desperation. So that's in a hard time. During the good time, the fire is all the blessings that Allah gives us, and it distracts us, it takes us away from, makes us lazy, it makes us, passive. Yeah, you forget more, so that desperate need for Allah should be at that time. Because if you express the desperate need for Allah at that time, then Allah will help you during the hard times. Also, there are light refreshments outside, inshallah, I was supposed to announce that during the break. Inshallah, there are light refreshments outside, inshallah, if you would like. And please go for it, because otherwise it'll go to waste. Okay, brothers and sisters, inshallah, we should get started in the next minute or so. Inshallah. Yeah. If you look into the history of it, I mean, there's two aspects to this. First of all, is to know what it is you're doing. Definitely the number. That's what I should look at. Useful things. For us, like every time we say Alhamdulillah, we're saying because Alhamdulillah means there's case of things. Somebody asks you, how are you doing today? It's Alhamdulillah, right? The same thing. So for us, the thing we do is like thank you. Like every action. Because thanking Allah is not just an speech, like oh thank you, but it's also sort of our hearts thinking like that's the way it happens. And then our actions have like prayer, that's just what it is. And if you check into the history, it was a religious tradition. They started as Muslims. They started when we first started. So now for us, so that's the first aspect. The second aspect of it is that first aspect, Prophet Muhammad when he came to Medina, they were celebrating his holidays. It was like a small holiday. So it was second. So they just actually this was like they had Olympics and sports competitions and stuff. So it was like a festival. So they came into a message to me like this very bad. This is a lot of said no, because Allah is giving you two holidays that are much better than these. And that has nothing to do with it. So that's the first aspect of it. The second aspect of it is that now in terms of a beloved relative. So what do I do now to stop? So the situation is that I think when we start working from now for next year, it may not happen this year. If it happens this year, it will be an answer to it. That it will not,
break. Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't know.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, if it's just initial. No, I would try to stay away from it if you've been able to do it without breaking your benefits. I would say, do it, but stay away from it. But if it now becomes an issue that's going to have an affair, then you may have to even take away the harm of the in other words, the harm of the activity for you. You might have to do it. But try to during the year try to learn more words and let's see what's a little more but
But at that point, whenever my wife gets back, so we use it for my baby. Because she's gonna be so hungry.
Yeah. But I would just say like it's an issue of
It's not really the problem is that if they get used to it. The problem is that the more they get used to moving, they only have one or 2 years. And they have to get used to being over there.
But if I'm not mistaken, I'll check it.
Yeah, that's true. They can also
Okay,
do
right.
that.
That is in a long time ago. And it does have religious.
No, I mean, like, I can send them now. With the kids now.
But even if you don't, then it's not
They've gone.
because for us it's a really issue. We can apply every level.
I thought of it.
It's not just one day.
It works for John. It doesn't work so much other. Zainab will probably be alone at home, but she has to bring a book.
she comes to think
But then that defeats the purpose because now I have to make sure there's enough space for her and the book bag, which is kind of awkward. And then I have to make sure, like, I don't want to, like, that's just
Yeah, but again, it's
so I have to like be on the edge and make sure there's enough space for her on the edge. There's always some random guy who wants to be on the edge. I'm like, listen, first of all, it's valid when you say that you need to come over here. And that whole conversation is awkward. So I'm just like, you're still $11, your problem.
and I, it's not the majority of the
There's a lot of complexities with the Juma situation because then they're like, well, why don't you stand on that side? And look, I want my side on that side, so she'll invalidate all of the Gershel over there. I just need to make sure I'm part of the stuff because they don't know.
But yeah, I mean, it is a real issue. I totally
AWOL. The worst thing though is some other guy with his kids. He's like, oh, I'm gonna go sit with the other guy who has kids here. And I'm like, no, because your kid can't be between me and you. You need to be on the other side of the table. People are saying weird. Why is he moving? Because there's no time to actually explain what I'm doing.
Okay, الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. So brothers and sisters, continuing on this path, inshallah, there's a hadith of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wherein he mentioned that there are 3 types of people. There are 3 characteristics. If they're found in a person, then they will taste Imam. They will taste Imam. ثلاث من كنا فيه وجد حلاوة الإيمان. There are 3 characteristics. If a person has that in them, they will taste the sweetness of Iman. Okay? They will taste the sweetness of Iman. And the 3 things that are mentioned, each one of them you will see has to do with sincerity, has to do with ikhlas. Because you can't do it unless you have ikhlas. So the first thing he mentions is أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما. That the first thing is that Allah and His Messenger are more beloved to Him than anything else. Allah and His Messenger are more beloved to Him than anything else. So in that type of a situation, you have to have ikhlas. You have to have that sincerity of commitment to Allah and His Messenger. Otherwise you compromise. Like for example, the Prophet ﷺ says, do this, and you say, but I think I should do this. Look, this is the 21st century, so come on, you have to be practical. Okay? So that's, you're not being sincere. You're kind of succumbing to your own desires or the desires of the people that you live around or you live among. And because of them, you are not doing what you really should be doing. So, for example, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyakul khayran aw liyasmut." Whoever believes in Allah and the Day of Judgment, let him say something good or keep quiet. So let him say something good or keep quiet. But you say, but no, sometimes you have to let the other person have it. Sometimes you have to get it off your chest. Sometimes you got to give them a piece of your mind. Well, the Prophet said this already. Case closed. There's no room to maneuver here. And that depends on your sincerity. The amount of ikhlas that you have. Are you going to obey Allah and His Messenger? Are they more beloved to you than anyone else or not? Are they or not? So that's where the sincerity comes in. The second thing, he mentioned sallallahu alayhi wasallam, is that أن يحب المرء لا يحبه إلا لله. That when a person loves another person, they only love them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you love someone, do you love them because they speak the same language? Do you love them because they are educated in the same way, that both doctors, both engineers, both IT people? Do you love them because they're just from the same gender? Is that why you love the person? I mean, do you love them only because they, mashallah, they cook really well? Or do you love them, for other worldly reasons? Do you love them because they have a lot of money? Why do you love that person? But if you love them only for the sake of Allah, then you're being sincere. Because even if that person is poor, you love him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if that person is disheveled or is unkempt, but they love Allah, then you will love that person. That's loving for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if that person is a different color or a different background, and in your family they don't respect that background, you love them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you love them for the sake of Allah. That requires sincerity. It requires that ikhlas. The third thing he mentioned is that a person who hates to return to disbelief after Allah has delivered him or her from it, just like they hate to be thrown into the hellfire. So again, that requires a lot of sincerity. He said, ثلاث من كنا فيه وجد حلاوة الإيمان. أولا أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما. ثانيا أن يحب المرء لا يحبه إلا لله. And number three, that أن يكره أن يعود في الكفر بعد إذ أنقذه الله منه كما يكره أن يقذف في النار. So again, this is you need sincerity to, like, you've embraced Islam, like you've come to Islam. Even as people who are born Muslims, you now have beginning to learn about Islam and you've learned what the right way of doing things is, and now you're being pulled in a direction to do the wrong thing. So do you go in that direction or you don't go in that direction? You, for example, you've begun to make salah. You've begun to make salah. And then somebody comes along among your close friends and relatives and says, come on, you don't need to pray all the time. Allah is forgiving. Allah is very generous. Allah Kareem. Come on, you don't. So do you agree with that person? Do you, just because of that person, do you do it? It requires ikhlas to say, no, I'm sorry, I have to pray. I have to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Somebody, you begin to wear the hijab, and somebody comes to you and says, come on, astaghfirullah, do you think you're going to get married by wearing that thing? Do you actually think you're going to get married by wearing that thing? Now you have to make a decision. It requires ikhlas. No, I'm sorry, I'm doing this for Allah. Whether I get married, I don't get married, that's up to Allah. Allah will send someone. And so on. This requires ikhlas, to go back into disbelief. That you don't go back into disbelief. One time when Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was talking about the fact that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that His love is mandatory for certain types of people. His love is mandatory for certain types of people. Like this, Allah makes it obligatory upon Himself that this, my love is there for this person. And so He said in the hadith that حَقَّتْ مَحَبَّتِي لِلْمُتَحَابِّينَ فِيهَا, that my love is definitely there for those people who love each other for my sake. Who love each other. If you love someone for the sake of Allah, then Allah will love you. وَحَقَّتْ مَحَبَّتِي لِلْمُتَوَاصِلِينَ فِيهَا, And my love is definitely there for those people who connect with each other and who follow up with each other because of me, because of my love. Number 3, وحقت محبتي للمتناصحين فيا. And my love is definitely there for those people who advise each other and counsel each other for my sake. Number 4, وحقت محبتي للمتزاورين فيا. And my love is definitely there for those people who visit each other for my sake. Who visit each other for my sake. Okay? Visit each other for my sake. Not because we're from the same background or speak the same language or we're going to get nice food. No. For my sake. For my sake. وحقت محبتي للمتبادلين فيا. And my love is definitely there for those people who exert every possible effort to struggle in my way. My love is there for them. All of these 5 actions, brothers and sisters, they require ikhlas. Without ikhlas, you will not sacrifice to do those things. Like you're gonna imagine if you were sincere, it doesn't matter to you if your friend that you love for the sake of Allah is 40 miles away, or 50 miles away, or 100 miles away. It doesn't matter because you're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, if you can afford it, that's a different issue. But you get the point, inshallah. One time when Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that, إِنَّ مِنْ أُمَّتِي from my ummah لو جاء أحدكم إن من أمتي من لو جاء أحدكم يسأله دينارا لم يعطه. From my ummah, there are in my ummah there is a person who will come. If he was to come to one of you to ask for a dinar, he would not give it to him. وَلَوْ سَأَلَهُ دِرْهَمًا فَلَمْ يُعْطِهِ. And if he was to ask for a dirham, still he wouldn't give it to him. وَلَوْ سَأَلَهُ فِلْسًا لَمْ يُعْطِهِ. And if he was to ask for pennies, he still wouldn't give it to him. Now listen. وَلَوْ سَأَلَ اللَّهَ الْجَنَّةَ لَأَعْطَاهَا إِيَّاهُ. And if he was to ask Allah for paradise, Allah will give him exactly that paradise. Allah will give him that paradise. ذُو طِمْرَيْنِ لَا يُؤْبَهُ لَهُ أَحَدٌ. لا يؤبه. This person is poor and has very wretched clothes, has just 2 pieces of clothes that he wears. Nobody pays much mind to him. لو أقسم على الله لأبره. If he was to swear by Allah, Allah will answer his swear. In other words, this person means a lot to Allah because this person is sincere. Other people ignored him because they just saw his exterior. They didn't see his interior because the interior is where the sincerity is, where the ikhlas is. Umar radiyallahu anhu, he would say that من خلصت نيته لله كفاه الله تعالى ما بينه وما بين الناس. Whoever's intention is full of ikhlas towards Allah, then Allah will suffice for him in matters between him and others. Allah will take care of him. Whoever is sincere towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the scholars, he said that man safa suffiya lahu wa man khallata khullita alayhi or khullita lahu. That whoever is pure in the way that they deal things, then purity will be shown to him in all his actions. All his actions will be pure. And whoever mixes it up with trying to please Allah and pleasing others, then all his actions will be mixed up, will be shown as mixed. In other words, meaning that's something not good. One of the scholars, he said, Ya nafsu akhlisi tatakhallasi. Oh soul, he was talking to his soul. He was reprimanding his soul, and he was telling his soul that, dear soul, let's get sincere, and you will get rid of all the problems. You will get rid of all the problems of this world. Just become sincere. Ya nafsu akhlisi tatakhallasi. One time, one of the scholars, he said that sincerity, he said that Inna lillahi ibadan aqalu. Allah has servants that are intelligent, and they are able to discern what is right and what is wrong. Inna lillahi ibadan aqalu. Falamma aqalu amilu. And when they were able to discern, intellectually see things, they began working. Amilu. Falamma amilu akhlasu. When they began working, they purified their intentions and they did it sincerely for Allah. فَاسْتَدْعَاهُمُ الْإِخْلَاصُ إِلَىٰ أَبْوَابِ الْبِرِّ أَجْمَعٍ. So their sincerity summoned them to do all the acts of righteousness possible. All the acts of righteousness possible. These are some of the merits of ikhlas. And inshallah, I'm hoping this will push all of us to infuse ikhlas in everything that we do. The danger of insincerity, the danger of riya. Riya is when you do something and you want people to notice. You want people to notice. You do it for fame or popularity or status. You don't do it just for Allah. Sometimes you might claim, well, I'm doing it for Allah and I'm doing it to be mentioned by people, for people to know also. No, that's not for Allah. When you do it for Allah, you have no room to show off or having this urge to have other people know what you just did. So this is known as riya. And this is thoroughly condemned in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's when you want to show off your deeds to other people, and you want other people to notice. You do it for the pleasure of other people rather than the pleasure of Allah. And not only do you want to see them, but sometimes you want to hear from other people that you did good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran compares this quality, He attributes it to the disbelievers and the munafiqeen. You never see this quality among the believers. In other words, the message that's being transmitted here is that beware of insincerity, because this is something that comes from the disbelievers, and it comes from the hypocrites, not from the believers. And if you take a look, for example, in Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah 2, Ayah 264. Ayah 264. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala